Hey everybody, it's Annie. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be talking about all things eggs. And actually, I have something kind of fun to share with you. My girls, 2 of them have already started laying eggs. So I have graduated chickens out of the teenage years. People think raising kids in the teenage years is tough. Try raising teenage chickens. Well, no, they're great and I love them to bits. So a couple of my girls are already laying eggs. So we get about 2 eggs a day, which I know is not a ton, but we're getting closer. So some of the things that we had to think about after getting the coop and everything set up is a place for them to actually lay their eggs. And so today we're going to be talking about nesting boxes, all the different types, how to clean them, and then also just some fun facts about eggs and some questions that actually people have that come up quite often. To start, we're going to talk about nesting boxes. So there are a wide variety of nesting boxes that you can do for your girls. You look on the internet and it's full of ideas. People have been very clever as far as nesting boxes go. You could spend a very little amount of money, or you could purchase something a little bit more high-end nesting box. I don't know if that's such a thing. But either way, your girls aren't going to care as long as it's clean and somewhat private and comfortable for them. So on the coop tour, I saw 3 different types of nesting boxes. Clara had that really cool rollout thing, and Mike had the tubs they could clean out easy, and then my sister had the ones that she bought at her local farm supply store, and she just mounted on her wall. So after the coop tour, I was partial to Clara's only because of the rollout feature. I loved that. I thought, how cool, you know, when the girls get a little older and maybe some of them are broody, those eggs are just gonna roll right out and we can just go get them. And so that's what we chose to go. That's the route we went. But we purchased ours on the internet because we just didn't have enough time to build one. And so that is what we currently have. Now our nesting box is mounted on the inside of our coop, mainly because where we live, it's cold. Now this particular nesting box, you can actually position it so the eggs will roll out to the outside. So if your kids go collect eggs, they don't even have to go in to the coop. If you've got some crabby hens or a mean old rooster, they can just grab them right out. The chickens will lay their eggs and they'll just roll right in. Now my husband put this piece of turf into our nesting box to make it a little bit more comfortable. And my girls have not quite figured out the nesting box yet. Now, when I went out there this morning, there was poop, lots of it on there. So they are getting the idea that that's where they want to go. So I'm pretty excited to find my first egg in the rollout compartment. So to clean our nesting box, I just make sure there's no poop in there, and this turf thing my husband put in there, I can just pull that out, you guys, and I can hose it off or whatever, just wipe it off or grab poop out of there. It is so easy to clean. And as I said before, the main thing about nesting boxes is just make sure they're clean, that your girls are comfortable, and that they're semi-private. In this particular nesting box, there wasn't there's not separators. So it's like one long nesting box. So that's what I'm going to try next, is to put something in the middle of that so the girls have a little more privacy, you know, because I mean, I guess if you're laying eggs, you might want to have a little privacy. I don't know. Bottom line for nesting box, you really can't go wrong. I've seen people use crates or whatever it is. Don't feel overwhelmed by that part. Just do what's best for your girls and you'll be fine. Now let's talk for a second about light. When we're wanting our hens to lay eggs, people are so concerned about temperature, like if it's way too hot or way too cold. And while those things might play a small effect in if your girls are laying eggs or not, actually the thing that matters most is light exposure. Now, so your girls actually there's different schools of thought here, but basically between 12 and 16 hours of light, somewhere for them to keep their egg production up. So if you live in a place where I do, where your days are pretty short, you need to provide some sort of artificial lighting, and that works just great. So I have a light in my coop, and that's on a timer, and it goes on and it shuts off. And so that way the girls get the proper amount of lighting so that they can lay eggs. Now, egg color. Let's talk about that for a second. all 3 of our chicken breeds lay brown eggs. And I didn't pick it because of the brown eggs. I picked our breeds because of our environment and all those types of things. I knew that they would be winter hardy and all that. So that's basically why I chose our breeds. But the thing of it is, you guys, there are so many awesome breeds of chickens out there, and they can lay just awesome colors of eggs. And so one little tip I did learn, which is really, really kind of fun, is if you look here close at my chicken's earlobe, you'll notice that they're red, okay? Yeah, of course. I mean, when you think of a chicken, most of the time you think, well, most of the time you don't even think they have ears, but they do. And so if your chicken has a red earlobe, for the most part, they'll probably lay brown eggs. If your chickens have a white earlobe, they'll more than likely lay white eggs. Now, the exception to the red is like the Easter eggers or Americanas. They have red earlobes, but they lay blue or green eggs. And the really fun one is the silky, and they have blue earlobes, but silkies lay kind of a creamy white color of egg. So if you're kind of trying to pick out what egg colors you want in your carton, because that's important to some people, you can look at their earlobes. It's just kind of a fun little tip for you. Okay, so picture this with me. You go out to your coop and you open the door, and there is a big, well, actually kind of small, because chickens, when they first lay their egg, the first one can kind of be a little small. So don't worry about that. They'll get bigger. But there it is. There's the egg. Oh, you're so excited. I know I was. I'm a little extreme with that kind of stuff. Quite a bit, actually. But I was so excited to get our first egg. And I've had chickens before, but it was like a huge celebration in our house. So I bring the egg in, and the kids are like, well, are you going to wash it, Mom? I'm like, no. And here's why. Egg washing. You can do your research, but what I would recommend is this. If your eggs, my girls so far have not laid dirty eggs. They're not poopy, they're not dirty. And some chickens, they do have poopy and dirty eggs. And in that case, you would want to wash them. But keep in mind this, if your eggs are clean, you don't need to wash them. They can sit on your counter for up to 2 weeks or even a little longer, and they're just fine. Eggs actually, chickens have something that they put on the egg. It's called a bloom, and it's a protective covering for the egg itself to protect like bad bacteria getting in, because eggs are actually porous, so that if there is a baby chicken there, they can breathe and live. So, or however that works. I just know they're porous. But, so if you do wash your egg, or even if you take sandpaper and lightly rub it, or a damp rag and kind of wipe it off, you have wiped the bloom off. So you're going to actually then want to refrigerate those eggs. Now, if you're questioning the freshness of your egg, you can do kind of a fun little experiment with your kids. This would be a great way to get your kids involved. So if you even have eggs in your fridge, or if you've had eggs sitting on your counter for a while and you want to check out the freshness, let's do this little experiment. Okay guys, so here's the fun experiment. First of all, this is my cute little chicken basket I got from somebody. You know, word's getting out that I like chickens, so it's kind of fun. I get all these cute little treasures. But anyway, so I've had this egg here. I have a basket full actually. And this egg has probably been sitting on the counter for, I don't know, maybe a week. And so I'm gonna test the freshness by this. When I put the egg in the water, if it sinks to the bottom, it's fresh. And if it floats to the top, it is not fresh. And then you wouldn't want to eat that one. And if it's kind of in the middle, then you can eat it still, but you know, just do it quick. Okay, so here we go. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't break it. Ta-da! So that baby is fresh. But now, something you need to remember, I just put this egg in water. So the bloom that I was talking about earlier will have come off. So this egg I'll have to take out, wipe off, and then put in the refrigerator. Okay guys, now we're gonna talk about eggshells. I mentioned that eggshells are actually porous, and that's for if you do have roosters and you wanna raise little chickies, that the oxygen can move in and out for your chickens. But with that, sometimes when chickens first start laying eggs, or even in their journey of laying eggs, their eggshells can become fragile or brittle or are not strong enough. And so there's a couple things you can do. Is I just have oyster shells available as needed for my chickens. So my husband built these nifty little feeders, and I always have grit and oyster shells available to my chickens. But in all honesty, I've been using chicken elixir for my chickens their whole life, and which they're only 5 months old, but still, the first eggs I had were perfect, and I didn't even have oyster shells in there yet. The shells were great, in great condition, and actually I have kind of a funny story. Somebody played a little prank on me, and I actually found a fake egg in my coop. Okay, I had a huge celebration over this first egg. I went to crack that sucker the next morning. You guys, I was sitting there trying to crack that thing on the pan, and I had this thought, oh my goodness, that chicken elixir is making these shells too hard. I actually thought that. No, it was just a fake egg, so the joke was on me. But anyway, so chicken elixir is an awesome addition to your water. It's like the easiest thing to do for your chickens, you guys. You add 1 capful with a gallon of water, and chicken elixir contains organic oregano essential oil. It contains prebiotics, vitamins, and it just is an incredible addition to your water. And you use it every day. I use it all the time, and it helps chickens stay hydrated because it has electrolytes, and it just helps support their immune system. So get some chicken elixir if you don't have it. And again, it helps with eggshell quality as well. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you learned something about eggs and nesting boxes. And honestly, people get into this backyard chicken hobby because they want to have eggs. Eggs are a great source of protein, and that's all great. But what a lot of people don't realize is how quickly these awesome little creatures become part of your family. You know, raising backyard chickens isn't just about the eggs and all that kind of stuff. It is a way of life, and it's so much fun. It's such a fun activity to do with your family. And these girls, they will keep you laughing, and they'll keep you on your toes. But anyway, thanks for joining us. And until I see you again, go buy a chicken. And I hope you've learned a little something. Okay. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you learned a little bit of